Listen closely, chosen ones. Just before every breakthrough, life tests you in silence. The signs appear subtle, restless energy, a pull to withdraw, a warning to guard your space. On September 2nd, the current shifts, and a single careless touch could scatter the clarity you've been building. This day is not about fear, it is about mastery. Today we step deeper into the hidden principles that guide the Shaolin path. Many people think Shaolin is only about strength or combat. They don't see that the true struggle is with the mind. The punch, the kick, the form, these are only reflections. The real opponent is distraction, the invisible thief of focus. Self-mastery begins the moment you reclaim your attention. In this teaching, you will learn why solitude is sacred during times of transition, why guarding your energy on this day allows discipline to root deeper. I will show you how no mind, the state beyond thought, opens the door to clarity when the world feels uncertain. You will understand why ancient Shaolin monks trained not only their bodies but also their hearts to remain untouched by chaos around them. Stay with me until the end, because each lesson builds toward a final key, the way to protect your inner fire so it does not scatter before your breakthrough. Too many people walk away from transformation at the very edge of it. My aim is to make sure you do not. This is Shaolin Soulfire, where we bring you teachings for inner mastery and timeless strength. If you seek discipline, clarity, and the wisdom to walk your path with courage, subscribe now and walk with us. Welcome to the journey. There are days when the fire inside burns bright, and there are days when the flame feels hidden, almost gone. If you only act when the fire is strong, your path will never be steady. Discipline is not built on moods. Discipline is the steady hand that carries you through storms and calm alike. In the Shaolin temple, I was once told, if you wait for inspiration to train, you will grow weak. But if you train when the heart resists, you will grow unshakable. These words stayed with me. It is easy to move when the body feels light, when the spirit is eager, but the true test comes when the body feels heavy, when the mind invents excuses, when comfort calls louder than purpose. Motivation is like a guest. It comes, it leaves, and you cannot control its arrival. Discipline is a resident. It is chosen, nurtured, and kept alive by your daily decisions. This is why discipline is higher than motivation. One is fleeting, the other is eternal. There is a story of a monk who swept the courtyard each morning, even on days of rain, even when no one would see the stones glisten clean. A visitor asked, "Why sweep when it will be dirty again by nightfall?" The monk replied, "I sweep, not to finish." This is the essence of discipline. The act itself shapes you. The outcome is secondary. When you continue in moments of resistance, you break through the limits your mind sets. Slowly, the body learns to follow intention instead of emotion. Slowly, the mind bows to your higher will. This constancy is maturity. It is not about feeling ready. It is about choosing to be ready again and again. Strength is often misunderstood. Many think it is measured by force, by speed, by the ability to strike harder than another. But the deeper truth is this: strength begins when the body becomes a vessel of wisdom. Every motion, no matter how small, carries the weight of intention. When breath, posture, and focus align, movement is no longer random, it becomes a teaching. The lifting of an arm is no longer just an arm rising. It is the discipline of breath guiding the pace, the balance of posture holding the form, the clarity of mind shaping direction. In that unity, body and spirit move as one. Ancient Shaolin masters would spend hours perfecting what looked like the simplest stances. To an outsider, it might appear stillness, even boredom. But in that stillness, they were refining patience, resilience, and presence. Each muscle held not just tension, but awareness. Each breath tied the body to the present moment. This is why form was never only about combat. It was about embodying the teaching until wisdom lived in the bones. There is a saying, when the body bows, the mind follows. Posture is not just physical, it mirrors the state of the heart. A crooked stance reveals distraction. A firm stance reveals focus. Through constant practice, posture becomes honesty. showing you where you are unbalanced within. True strength, then, is not in how the fist strikes, but in how the movement reveals your inner state. A calm breath in the midst of exertion shows mastery over chaos. A steady posture in discomfort shows mastery over doubt. When intent flows through every action, strength is no longer about winning or losing, it becomes a path of living wisdom. Gung Fu is often mistaken as nothing more than fighting skill. People see the speed, the precision, the power of the forms, and they believe that is the essence. But Gung Fu is not about defeating others. It is about shaping yourself through devotion. Every movement is a carving of the spirit. Every repetition a polishing of the mind-heart. The old masters taught that Gung Fu was earned, not given. It is not something you learn in a season, nor in a year. It is the patient layering of effort, one day upon the next. The hours of standing in silence, holding a posture until the legs tremble, that is Gung Fu. The countless times of falling, rising, and continuing, that is Gung Fu. What you are building is not just strength in the body, but steadiness in the soul. There is a story of a novice who grew frustrated because his punches did not look like the master's. He asked for secrets, for hidden techniques. The master only told him 10,000 times more. The novice did not understand then, but years later he saw the truth. Repetition is not punishment, it is transformation. The body learns humility, the mind learns focus, and the heart learns endurance. Gung Fu in this way is devotion. It is a way of saying to yourself, I will show up again, no matter how small the step feels today. I will refine not just my skill, but my being. With every movement, the mind becomes clearer, the heart becomes calmer, the spirit becomes firmer. What begins as form on the outside becomes a temple within. This is why Gung Fu is never just martial art. It is the slow, unending art of becoming whole. There is a state where thought no longer weighs you down, where action flows without hesitation. This is called no mind. It does not mean the absence of awareness, it means freedom from the grip of constant planning, comparing, and judging. In this state, the body knows what to do because it has been trained. The heart knows where to move because it is not clouded by fear. In martial arts, this becomes clear during combat. If the mind hesitates, even for a breath, the opening is lost. If the mind rushes ahead, predicting too much, balance falters. The most effective strike, the cleanest defense, emerges when the practitioner is empty of doubt and free of clinging. No effort, just clarity. There is an old tale of a master archer who could hit the center of the target again and again. When asked his secret, he said, I do not see the target, I become it. There is no archer, no arrow, no bullseye, only release. This is no mind. The action is so pure that it no longer belongs to the ego. In life, the same principle holds. When we cling too tightly to plans, we become rigid. When we cling to judgments, we become blind. But when we act with no mind, clarity guides us naturally. The step is taken, the word is spoken, the decision arises, without strain, without second guessing. To reach this state requires discipline, not passivity. Hours of practice until movement becomes second nature. Years of meditation until thought loses its grip. Then, when the moment comes, the action flows as if it was always waiting to happen. This is no mind. The union of preparation and presence, the freedom of clarity without effort. Each breath that enters the body is unlike the one before it. Each step you take lands on ground that has never been touched in the same way. Life is always new, yet the mind often tries to make it old, clinging to expectations, forcing it to fit into patterns it already knows. The way of practice teaches otherwise. Approach each moment with openness, not demand. In the old temples, beginners were often told to repeat the same form thousands of times. Many grew impatient, asking, why must I do what I already know? The answer was simple. You never perform the same movement twice. The body is different. The breath is different. The mind is different. Each repetition is uncharted. To see it as the same is blindness. To see it as new is awakening. This is the spirit of beginner's mind. When you expect the form to feel a certain way, you miss the reality of what is here now. But when you remain open, insight flows. A subtle shift in balance, reveals where you are holding tension. A single breath uncovers a truth about patience. Even a step on familiar ground becomes a teaching when you walk it without presumption. Openness does not mean passivity. It means discipline without rigidity. It means holding form while releasing expectation. It means listening deeply to the present instead of chasing what you think should happen. Over time, this openness softens resistance. The mind stops wrestling with what is and begins to flow with it. Every breath, every step, every motion holds wisdom when entered with fresh eyes. This is how practice becomes more than repetition. It becomes discovery. In openness, the ordinary becomes a doorway, and insight arrives quietly, like air filling the lungs. Mindfulness is often spoken of as simple presence, the act of noticing breath or sensation. But in the Shaolin way, mindfulness is more than quiet awareness. It is a shield. It guards the mind against falling into reactivity, against being dragged by impulse or stirred by provocation. It is not passive watching, it is active freedom. In the old days, monks were trained to carry water up steep stone steps, day after day. The work was heavy and the climb long. A distracted mind would stumble, a restless mind would spill, an impatient mind would grow angry at the task. Only mindfulness kept them steady. With each step, attention returned to the body, to the water, to the moment. This practice was not about the buckets, it was about breaking free from the habits of frustration and haste. Mindfulness in Shaolin is called sati, and its role is liberation. When anger rises, sati sees it before it becomes speech. When fear stirs, sati notices it before it becomes retreat. This pause is power. In that pause, choice appears. Reactivity loses its grip, and discipline holds. Freedom does not mean escaping life. It means not being enslaved by the inner chains of craving, aversion, and ignorance. With mindfulness as shield, you begin to see these forces clearly. You are no longer the servant of every emotion or thought. You are the one who observes, and in observing, you are free. This is why mindfulness is woven into every strike, every stance, every breath of Shaolin training. It is not only about form, it is about cutting through illusion. Step by step, breath by breath, mindfulness trains the warrior within to stay untouchable, not by force but by clarity. There is a point in practice when the mind no longer runs ahead, no longer lingers behind. The chatter quiets and the body begins to guide you. This shift often comes through methods like Baduanjin or Dantian breathing, simple yet profound exercises that return awareness from the restless head into the living body. Baduanjin, the 8 pieces of brocade, may look gentle, but within its flowing movements lies a deep training. Each stretch and turn loosens the tension that binds the spirit. Each coordinated breath sinks awareness into the present. Over time, the body moves like water, steady yet unforced, teaching that strength can be soft and clarity can be found in rhythm. Dantian breathing is even more subtle. By focusing attention in the lower abdomen, the breath drops deeper, slower. This practice grounds you. The mind, often restless and scattered, begins to settle as awareness sinks downward. From this stillness, energy gathers. The center becomes steady, and with it the whole being aligns. When you practice this way, you stop living only in thought. The endless analysis, the constant worry, the planning, all fade into the background. In their place arises flow. Movements link without strain. Breath carries action without interruption. The inner and outer begin to mirror one another, and what once felt like effort becomes natural. Breakthroughs often come not from pushing harder, but from entering this flow. It is the space where the self steps aside, where discipline and openness meet. Here, insight arrives quietly, almost unnoticed at first, like water seeping into the earth. And then one day you realize the practice has carried you further than striving ever could. This is the power of slipping into flow. Balance is not something abstract. It is the foundation of the Shaolin path. To walk, to breathe, to live with clarity, you must first see where imbalance hides. It may show in the body as exhaustion, in the mind as restlessness, or in the heart as discontent. The practice begins by noticing these cracks, not ignoring them. Only when you see clearly can you begin to refine. In training, balance is revealed in the simplest stances. Stand too far forward and you tip, lean too far back and you weaken. True strength comes when weight is centered, when both feet share the load, when posture supports breath. The lesson is not limited to martial forms, it is life itself. Push too hard and you burn out. Hold back too often and growth stalls. Balance lies in the middle part. There is an old saying, the bow that is always drawn will soon break. The Shaolin masters knew that without rest, effort becomes destruction. Without discipline, freedom becomes chaos. The work is to bring these forces into harmony, moment by moment. Harmony is not a word to decorate teachings. It is practical alignment. It is eating in balance, resting in balance, speaking in balance. It is learning to step back when the heart grows heavy and to step forward when fear tries to freeze you. Balance is not perfection. It is the willingness to keep adjusting, to refine continuously like polishing jade. When inner balance is cultivated, outer life reflects it. Conflict no longer pulls you apart as easily. Desire no longer blinds you. The mind steadies, the body steadies, and action flows with less resistance. This is why Shaolin emphasizes balance. It is the quiet art of living in alignment with yourself. Many believe that mastery comes from adding more hours, more techniques, more effort. But true mastery is not about piling up. It is about stripping away. Less thought, more being. The closer you move to essence, the stronger your presence becomes. In the training halls, beginners often rush. They want to learn many forms, to show variety, to display skill. Yet the masters return them again and again to the same movement. A single strike, a single step, repeated until the mind stops counting. Over time, the excess fades. The movement is no longer performed. It is lived. The strike no longer belongs to the student. It simply is. This is the turning point, when practice shifts from doing to becoming. The body carries discipline without strain. The breath settles without command. Awareness fills the moment naturally, like water filling a vessel. Mastery is not louder, not heavier. It is quieter, simpler, more complete. There is a story of a monk asked why his form looked so powerful, though it appeared slow. He answered, "Because I am not chasing power, I am letting it arrive." This is the heart of mastery. When you live the practice fully, there is no need to force results. The growth catches up on its own, silently, inevitably. Breakthroughs are not explosions of effort. They are the flowering of seeds long planted. The mind may not notice the exact moment, but suddenly clarity arrives. A movement once difficult flows without thought. A challenge once heavy feels light. The practice has transformed you, not by addition, but by refinement. That is mastery, becoming more by holding less, reaching further by standing still, finding depth not in more, but in being. Here's what I want you to carry with you. The path is not complicated. It asks for patience, presence, and the courage to keep refining. When you steady your breath, align your posture, and let intention guide movement, life itself begins to flow with greater clarity. Discipline becomes less about force and more about rhythm. Balance becomes less about perfection and more about returning again and again to center. Apply this in your daily life. Walk with awareness, breathe with depth, act with calm. Even the smallest practice, holding silence for a moment, pausing before reaction, moving with purpose, plants the seed of mastery. Over time, these seeds grow into strength that does not falter. May your practice be a source of harmony, may your discipline bring freedom, and may your journey carry you closer to your own breakthrough. If these teachings spoke to you, support this path by liking the video and subscribing to our channel Shaolin Soulfire. Together, we keep the flame of wisdom alive. Peace to your steps and stillness to your heart.